Thank you, sir. Illegal pathology labs, the challenges and the possible solutions. We all know that every nook and corner in our country is dotted with labs of all shapes and sizes, most of them run by technical personnel independently. There has been a long fight going on by many state association of pathologists, one of which we know also Maharashtra. I invite Dr. Rajiv Rao, who will show us a glimpse of this issue from the front lines. Dr. Rajiv Rao is a consultant pathologist with over 10 years experience. Currently is the lab director at Dr. D.Y. Patil Hospital and Research Center, also attached as an honorary consultant with D.Y. Patil Ayurvedic Hospital. Sir, please.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for staying back for this last lecture, and I hope I make it worth your time. The first question I have for the audience is, how many of you all are practicing pathologists? Not bad. And how many are postgraduate students? Do I have any postgraduate? Very good. One of them is my student, so don't put your hand up. Okay. Now, I've been asked to do something which is a little difficult for me to do in half an hour. We at Maharashtra have been active against this problem of illegal laboratories since 2005. In fact, a little before that, but officially on a platform, we've all been together since 2005. And it's been more than 11 years since we've been taking this fight forward. And I'm happy to say that, yes, we've been doing a lot of good things. And problem? We as practicing pathologists face a very unique situation. On one side, we are competing with all these illegal laboratories who are manned by people who don't have proper degrees, MLTs, CMLTs, DMLTs, you name it, the LT is there. And on the other side, we have the pressure of the big corporate labs, as sir rightly mentioned, and we are literally the sandwich in between. And I think, like sir said, it's frustrating for all of us at many levels. Yeah, I think this ad of Fevikwik sums it up for all of us. Yeah, we feel like this. Yeah, we're sitting, qualified people sitting over there waiting for the fish, and then these unqualified people just come and they take everything. And it's a feeling we get on a daily basis, you know. And the fight in Maharashtra has been, actually everything is related to this association called Maharashtra Association of Practicing Pathologists and Microbiologists. And this association has come up mainly because of the inadequate response that has come from our parent associations, that is IAPM and the respective state chapters. And within this forum MAPPM, I have two people who some of you or most of you may already be aware. This gentleman over here is Dr. Jagdish Keskar. He's the person he is at the forefront of this, and he was the person who put the case, the PIL. He was one of 5 people who put the PIL in the High Court, which we won. And this other gentleman is Dr. Sandeep Yadav, and he is the president of our association since its inception. Now, for us, Jagdish is the Chanakya, and Sandeep is our Chandragupta. So between them, they create a lot of situations where a lot of thought process goes up, and we look at things not 1 step, 2 steps, we're looking at things 3 steps ahead. And we are a good team, and I think the most important thing is we are a very committed team. None of us who are doing this today need to do it. That is the key. I have a very flourishing practice. Sandeep runs a very, very successful blood bank in Karad. Jagdish Keskar is the only person who has a good lab in Pain. And the others also in our team don't really need to do it. But the point is our love for our profession, our commitment to our profession, and the respect that we truly rightly deserve. These are things that actually make us do all that we did. Now, what are the challenges we faced right at the beginning when we started this fight? And this picture sums it all. For me, this is a snake which is eating its own tail, And as you can see, it's happy eating its own tail. And for me, this is the pathologist. You know, the pathologist having his own private practice creates technicians or enables technicians to open their own lab. All of us sitting over here, how many of us have closed our labs or kept replacement pathologists? We are all enabling our technicians. So ultimately, we are eating ourselves. If we are going to do this, then why wouldn't the technician feel that he is better than us, equal to us? And why wouldn't he think of starting his own lab? We're doing everything for him. Hum chutti pe baithe hai and he's running the show for you. Why? You know, the other this thing is, of course, the clinician. The clinician thinks of himself as a god and will not listen to reason. Sujay was talking about cost cutting, and they are looking at various ways of cost increasing for themselves per se, and for them this is the easiest way across. And the technician, there are so many courses. Every third road in Bombay has a paramedical college which is not recognized, but they are brazenly, openly putting in their prospectus that the technician can open his own laboratory and sign his own reports. And so the technician, when he comes out and he's starting his own, he is not aware that he is doing such an illegal thing. For him, it is allowed. And these were our biggest challenges, changing the mindset of all these three. And yeah, with all these three together, hamara bahut hil gaya tha actually. Along with these challenges, of course, at an administrative level, we had government apathy. The government will not look at us because we are not a sizable vote bank. You look at what is the government? The government is full of only politicians. And the politicians do not understand law. Let me be very clear with you. One wise man told me that the government does not understand law. The government will only please the maximum number of people. That is how they interpret law. Similarly, when you go to a court, you don't get justice. What you get from the court, you call as justice. It may not necessarily be justice for every. Ultimately, if I am aggrieved party and I lose the case, no justice is done for me. So over here also, the politicians will not listen to me because I am a silent minority. And even if I am of a lesser number, even those numbers don't come up to support me. Along with that, of course, the police don't understand our case. Very frankly, in the beginning, when we went to the police said, "Kya hai techat?" In our language, "Kya hai usme? Report to nikal raha hai. Koi mara? Dakaiti hua? Kuch nahi." They don't understand for us in Maharashtra, it was the Maharashtra Medical Practitioners Act. And we had to actually, at certain points of time, take the whole act, read it line by line, interpret it line by line, and teach them the whole thing. So for me, these were the biggest challenges. And one of the biggest challenge for me is this boy looking into the microscope. And that boy is the technician working in our laboratory. We have made him think that he's as powerful as us. Each one of us in our laboratories who are allowing a technician to do everything that you or me are supposed to do is creating one new illegal laboratories. Ladies and gentlemen, let us be very frank and understand this problem, because you and me are sitting over here and creating our own problems. And then we filed a case in the court, and it was very interesting how our lawyer fought this case. The judge is sitting over here and our lawyer is sitting here, and his assistant, who is not a lawyer, gets up to plead the case. And the judge was horrified. He said, "What is this happening? Advocate, you are supposed to plead the case." So he said, "No, he will do it. But he is not a lawyer. But he knows how to plead the case." "No, but he is not allowed to." And this exactly is our problem, Judge Saab. And that's where we won that. It was so simple. And we were all so happy because we saw the light out of all the sea of darkness. Suddenly there was light, the sun was rising, and we were all so enthusiastic. We sat on our horses, "Hey, chalo, 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 everybody's going to shut." Running to government, running to police, running to pathologists, telling, "Hey, band karo, band karo, band karo." And you know, it was heady days. We go to Bombay, call, ek hall book karo, call all pathologists. And you expect at least 300 pathologists in all of Bombay. And you all have a hall which says, okay, 200 तो आएगा यार, अपना सबका भला है उसमें, सबका फायदा है, अगर सबका लैब बंद हो जाएगा, ये सब illegal लैब बंद हो जाएगा तो. And you can count the number of pathologists who come for such a meeting on your fingers. That was how bad it was. You know, we as a group were so enthusiastic about the whole thing, but over maybe 1 or 2 years, we tried repeatedly, go everywhere, and we felt like this. Some of you must have heard this song by Elton John, Candle in the Wind, when Lady Diana died, and we felt like that. You know, we are the flame, we are fighting, we are trying to keep things bright, but these winds, ultimately we were scared that it would all get extinguished. We thought we are just going to the light is going to go out. And it was all because there was no support from our fellow pathologists. Silent majority. Even today on our WhatsApp groups, we are on WhatsApp, nobody will talk. Nobody will talk. Of course, now we are used to it. But in those days, it was very depressing, let me be very frank. And the mistake that we did was, you know, say that, ye galat hai, isko band karo. And immediately the technician was the victim. In any accident, in any scene, it is the weaker person who is the victim. Whether he is at fault or not is not immaterial. You are driving a bike and somebody is driving a car, accident hota hai, bike fellow fault hai, nahi hai, nobody sees. Gaadi wale ko to maar lagna hi lagna hai. Similarly, over here, when we were going and saying, close these labs, immediately it was, साहब हम क्या करेगा, हम तो गरीब है, हम ये है, these pathologists are doing it for professional this thing, they are selfish, they want to make more money, and that is why they want to deprive us of our livelihood. And who will see in the rural areas, in the village, there is nobody, we are the only people who are giving service. These were the things that they were telling the press or the politicians and all those people, and because of which we were not making any headway in our fight. And so after 2 years or so, maybe in 2009, 2010, we all sat together, the core group, and we said, boss, this is not going to work. We're not going to reach anywhere by doing this way. And we had a very important review meeting in which we thought, all of us racked our brains. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a day. We had 2 or 3 meetings, and we came up with this, the 7P strategy. And we said, if we are going to win this battle, and believe me, this battle and this war is still not over. It's not overnight. It's taken us so many years to get where we are, and we are still not there. We have to target specific populations at specific times. And who are these? Obviously, the pathologists, my brethren, my brothers, I have to talk to them. I need to be to the press. I need to talk to the police. I need to talk to the public, to the politicians, to the practitioners, the consultants who are doing things every day. And most importantly for me, something very dear to my heart is my postgraduates. I need to make everybody aware because the demons are there. What was also happening is that every time we used to go, they said, if I used to talk to a clinician and say, "Band karo," yeah, your people are making these labs legal. I don't know what's the situation in Gujarat, but there we had these pathologists we call Sayaji Raos or ghost pathologists, who travel the length and breadth of the country, or at least for us it was the country, and their names are there everywhere. You go on a tourist this thing, Goa के रास्ते पे रत्नागिरी पे गए from Bombay, अरे ये तो इधर भी है, वो नीचे आया थोड़ा 200 किलोमीटर दूर अलीबाग, वहां पर भी है. You cross the this thing, go to थाने, वहां पे भी 5 लैब में नाम है. You wonder, यार ये सुपरमैन इतना काम नहीं कर सकता, ये आदमी कहाँ से काम कर रहा है. So this was our biggest problem, that the illegal labs were being made legal by our very own fellow pathologists, and it was important that we touch base with them. So what exactly? Please understand, these are not exclusively bags or things that we are saying that we are going to talk only to pathology. Every time, these are interconnected. If I can talk to the pathologist and get something out for the press or for the police, even I talk to the police regarding it and it becomes a case, then the press gets activated. The press gets activated, the public gets activated because they're reading it in the papers. When the public gets activated, the politicians get activated because now there's something in the news. Anything in the news interests the politician, especially the opposition party. So all of these become interconnected, and we had to actually play along with that. And that's where we changed our strategy and we said, let's clean our house first. And so we approached pathologists. And what did we do? We said, let's educate the pathologists. And we had small, focused, very focused meetings with groups of pathologists, 30, 40 pathologists at a time, and explained the law to them, different scenarios. You know, what happens, where are you liable, where are you not liable, what do you do, how do you prevent, now that you've done it, how do you stop? Interlab samples. All of us are guilty of accepting samples from interlabs for tests that we do and they are not doing at cost rates. Why are we enabling them? Do it as in like a patient sample. Charge the maximum from them. So these are things that we started talking to pathologists. A lot of them understood it, and a lot of them said, now how can we contribute? And when they got enlightened, then we started speaking to them and said, see, we need to get united. One and one make many. And we need to understand how we can get together, how we can overcome the administrative apathy, how we can come together and educate or enlighten or stop the illegal practices by our own fellow pathologists. So the first thing that we asked our pathologist friends to do is go out in the market and get data. What do I understand by data? What I mean is that nobody knows how many legal labs are there, how many illegal labs are there. It's all hawe mein. So if somebody asks me, आज बॉम्बे में कितने लैब्स हैं? होंगे 10-12 हजार. कितने पैथोलॉजिस्ट के लैब है? Nobody knows. So we started off with this in Navi Mumbai, and we were 42 pathologists who got together. We distributed areas. We said 3 pathologists this area, 3 pathologists this area, and you had only one work to the pathologist. We were given 1 month timeline. You said, you send somebody to every lab in your area, legal or illegal, we don't care. Just get me a report. Just get me a report. That was all we wanted. So with that, we had some 150, 200 reports, and we started collating. कितने पैथोलॉजिस्ट इधर मिले, कितने पैथोलॉजिस्ट इधर मिले, who is this pathologist, common string, ये पैथोलॉजिस्ट कहाँ का रहता है, and we started analyzing that data. And we found that, yes, there's so many things that come to us. And once we found such pathologists, we started encountering them. By encounter, I don't mean this police wala encounter, but we actually started speaking to them. We said, see, this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. It is disrespectful of our profession. It insults all of us. And we are giving you a chance to set things right. We are giving you a chance to leave all these things. And then if you listen to us, then we will not take any further action. Most of them say, if we have spoken to 10, around 9, even 9.5 as a percentage, yes, they listened to us, they immediately withdrew, they gave us proof of withdrawal. There were pathologists who used to sign out resignation letters and send a copy to us, and they used to actually stop all this, and they used to send us photographs on WhatsApp saying, see, my name is removed from this, and all those kind of things. The other side of the story was also, we found that there were certain places where pathologists didn't know their name was being used. And we made them aware that your name is being misused over here, and immediately they took steps to withdraw their names. And then those pathologists who refused to understand, जो करना जो उखाड़ना उखाड़ लो, जो करना है करो, अरे कोई नहीं हुआ मेरे against कुछ करने के लिए. We heard all of that, and we said, okay, we will see. And accordingly, then we started filing complaints in the police, in the medical council. So we filed complaints against 4 pathologists like this in the Medical Council of India, and from there it came down to the Maharashtra Medical Council. Immediately after that, one of the pathologists came and called up, and he said, "Abhi kya hoga, mera kya hoga," and this and that. So immediately we said, "See, this is what has happened, and you have to decide what you want to do." He said, "You tell me what to do, I will do it." And this gentleman was kind enough that immediately he withdrew his name from, I have proof of 38 laboratories. Okay, he was working full time in a private pathology setup, and he withdrew his name from 38 laboratories immediately. And then he immediately stopped. He went only to 2 places. He gave me proof of that, and we spoke to the owners of those laboratories. And the other 3 refused to listen. One of them, we know that his name was there in 150 different places. One of them was a full-timer in a blood bank in a teaching medical college, and yet his name was there in 50, 60 places. Another had given an affidavit to the Dental Council of India saying that he is a full-timer in a dental college. And yet his name was there in another 50, 60 places over there. So we decided to take some action, and accordingly we filed complaints. So 3 pathologists in Mumbai and 1 in Karad, the complaint was filed. Now there's an interesting corollary to this Karad, this thing. And when we filed the complaint, and we actually did a police complaint against these laboratories also, because we found a lot of irregularities and blank signed reports, letterheads and all of those things. As a response to that, one of the technicians filed an atrocities case against our president, and he had to spend a night in jail. That case is still going on, and the tables are now turned, and all those parties are now asking him to withdraw, withdraw the case and everything. But this is the kind of commitment that we've had from our leaders till date, that he had to spend a night in jail, and so many other things that, small things that people had got pressures. There was phone calls from the chief ministers regarding all these things. But we've endured all of them, and we are still alive and kicking. Now using this data, now the thing we realized is, yes, our pathologists are now ready, they are educated, they understand what we are saying. But if we don't do something big, and we don't get things to change, things will go back to square one. And we realized that the only way, we were talking to the government constantly, and the government was not doing anything. And we realized now that we need to change tack, we need to pressurize the government, and the only way, or the only people the government listens to actually is the press. So you need to activate the press. And we were all scratching our heads as to how to do this, how to get the press, how to make them understand and all that. And one day, one of my friends, again, some of you may know him, he's Prasad Kulkarni, very active socially. And he called me and said, Rajiv, I know a pathologist in DNA, and can we talk to him? I said, yes, we can talk to him, no problem. But you'll have to come and convince him, because I can't talk and convince him and all that. I said, no problem, give me a date, give me a time, we'll be there. So we went and met him near the other station, and we just had coffee, okay, over a cup of coffee. And I tell you, this pathologist's name, this reporter's name is Santosh Andhade. And I started explaining the law. He said, doctor, वो सब जाने दो, मुझे नहीं समझता और कुछ लेन देन नहीं, पब्लिक को भी लेन देन नहीं है, आप बोलो गड़बड़ क्या है. So we removed those reports, and we started showing him. And over that one cup of coffee, he was convinced of the blatant illegality of what was happening in the state of Maharashtra. And on that day, immediately from Tuesday till the next Monday, for 1 week, continuously front page articles over various aspects of this, saying, 1, pathologists signing out, 2, illegal laboratories per se, 3rd, government response to it, how the court case was won, but the government response. The government's response to this thing was again printed out. How the government was moving or playing with the words was again pointed out. So for 1 week, we had so much of media movement, and everybody was aroused. Now, seeing what came out in the media, the Maharashtra Medical Council took suo motu notice. That means we didn't need to complain. They took notice of what came out in the media and sent notices to the pathologists whose name we had put in the media. Okay, so that became another strong point for us, where the pathologists realized, boss, abhi kuch to ho sakta hai. And the media started getting activated. After that, so we targeted different types of media. We went to the print media, we went to the electronic media, we started developing contacts. So Santosh gave me a number, you call this person, and then this person, we say, okay, let's talk to Mumbai Mirror, let's talk to Times, and let's talk to, and we said it's not important to just go in the English media. So we started looking at local media, we started looking at Hindi, we looked at Marathi, and we tried to get articles everywhere. And you can see this was something that came out in Nav Bharat Times, and bogus pathology per MMC or Rajya Dono Ki Nazar. This was where so much of media pressure was being built up that the government had to sit up, and the education minister had to say that we are going to take action against these illegal laboratories. So again, we had a story where there was a patient whose report was given as HIV positive, came out as HIV negative in 2 reputed laboratories. Common, can happen to all of us, no problem. The corollary was that the technician calls this patient and says, 2 लाख रुपया दे दो, treatment करा देंगे, आपका HIV उड़ जाएगा. Okay? And this report was signed by one of our ghost pathologists. And we made it a big scene, a huge thing. We went and approached the commissioner of police for Mumbai, and he asked the IO, that is the investigating officer, why hasn't any action been taken on the pathologist? So that fellow said that, sir, उसने सिर्फ report sign किया है. Report sign किया तो क्या autograph दिया है क्या? अमिताभ बच्चन है क्या वो? अंदर डालो उसको. Middle of the night, that person was put in bars. Pathologist. Okay? So all of this, and then there was somebody from the TV media who approached us and said, what is the story? And we convinced him, and it came out on Crime Patrol as this thing. We held press conference after that, we educated reporters, and very importantly, those reporters who were sympathetic to our view, who were putting the correct point of view in their papers or in the media, we felicitate them at our state conferences or regional conferences. We had 100 pathologists coming together and just acknowledging what they've done for us. So this was a press conference that we held in the Press Trust of India. Then we went to, now we had a lot of data. We had the press with us, and let's see what can happen with the police. And we found one case in Panvel where we knew the pathologist was in a place which is around near Nagpur, actually around 500-600 kilometers away from Mumbai. That was in a place called Jalgaon. And the pathologist was there. His name was being used in a place in Navi Mumbai, New Bombay, very close to Bombay. And immediately the local MAPPM person approached that pathologist in Jalgaon and asked him, boss, तुमने नाम दिया है क्या? So he said, नहीं नाम बिल्कुल नहीं दिया है, कुछ भी नहीं किया है. And immediately then one more active, very active person from MAPPM, his name is Rajesh Mane. He took the night bus and came from a place called Nanded, under 400 kilometers away, to Bombay. And then we looked at everything. Then we asked the pathologist in Jalgaon, he said, will you give it in writing that you are not associated with this laboratory? And he said, yes. And then we went to Panvel. We went to Panvel police station and showed the station in charge that all of this is a thing. Now the question was, he said, who is going to file the complaint? We are ready. He understood. He said, okay, no problem. आप बोल रहे हो, ये तो सरासर ये तो 400 BC है. There's nothing, any problem or any doubt in my mind. We don't have a problem. We will take action. But who will file the complaint? अब हम सब की फट गई. हमारे माँ बाप ने बोला 3 P से दूर रहना बेटा, पुलिस, पॉलिटिशियन और प्रेस. अब यहाँ बैठा है बेटा कि सबके साथ पंगे ले रहा है. So you are in Panvel and we are practicing very close to this place, and we are worried about backlash. All of us are worried. It's but natural. As doctors, we have no stomach for any kind of fights like this. So, and then this person from Nanded said, मेरा क्या जाट उखाड़ेगा, मैं complaint करता हूँ. So this person who was 500 kilometers away, he stayed 500 kilometers away, he said, I will file the complaint. And on the night of 25th January of 2013, I think, we filed the complaint, and the IO went with our fellow pathologists and approached this technician. And initially the technician was very gung-ho. तुम कौन, मैं कौन, ये है, वो है. And this police who had come with this, the sub-inspector, he approached the technician, एक कान के पीछे बजाया, and that fellow fell down from the floor and he just sing. Moment he got that slap, things changed. More maaf kar do, maaf karo, like this. And you must hear what Rajesh said. He said, Rajiv, तुमको पता है, मुझे इतना अच्छा लगा वो चाटा का आवाज सुन के और वो चाटा देख के, पूरा दिल हल्का हो गया मेरा. It was so this thing. And that was how the police started. And that was the first FIR. It's not easy. It is not a joke. When we approach lady pathologists who tell this, we tell them the same thing. it is not a joke to come to the police station. The first day itself, it takes around 6 to 8 hours. Overall, it takes you around 4 to 5 days to get things moving, to actually validate everything and to collect data and make sure there are no leaks and all that. And that was how our first police case went in, and we had an FIR. Now, दम तो हम में भी आ गई, भाई पहली केस गई है, पुलिस भी खुश हो गया, पुलिस को भी मिला कुछ, हाँ एक्चुअली ये है. The second case was a little bit more interesting, second and third. I'll just spend little time on these police cases because they're very interesting, and I'm sure you'll find them even in Gujarat also, in all these places. And if little bit thoda aap log, if you're a little bit commitment, you can also do the same things. The second case was, there was this laboratory in a place called Khargar, and we were seeing that there was a name over there, one XYZ naam tha, and we used to see whether this person is actually a doctor or no, because we used to access the MCI website and see whether he's registered. Is he registered as a pathologist, or is he registered MBBS, or kya uska degree hai? Then from there, is he registered with the Maharashtra Medical Council? All these things we used to see, and we never found his name either on the MCI website or MMC website. Lekin problem ye tha ki on any of the reports that were coming out from that laboratory, there was no registration number. And so we were very, how do we take it forward? Whom do we meet? And unless we have proof, we don't want to go forward, and because we couldn't laughing stock. So finally then we sent one of our pathologists from a little bit away, and he went inside and he said, I have to submit this to the insurance company, it's a pre-insurance, so they are not taking it without your registration number. And that's how we got a registration number out. Once this was done, immediately we went to the website and checked. This registration number belonged to a pathologist, a lady pathologist, who was based in Kolhapur, which was almost 450 kilometers away. It was being used by this male who we had no record of who he was. So immediately then, instead of going to the police at this point, we went to the Maharashtra Medical Council. We went personally, and we said, we having two reports. And then our contacts in Kolhapur took out the registration certificate of this lady. So I had two certificates with me. By this time, we had made friends with one of the technicians in that laboratory. So we bribed him and took out a photograph of that registration certificate which was there in his laboratory. So I had two copies of registration certificates, one from Kolhapur and one from Khargar. दोनों ले गए हम और MMC में बोले, अभी you tell me whether you have made a mistake. There are two pathologists or two people with names, and you have given the same number to two different people, or is there something else? And they gave us in writing that this number belongs to only one person, that is the lady pathologist from Kolhapur. Using this data, now we went to the police commissioner. The idea of going to the police commissioner was we wanted him to take action against all illegal laboratories. But he was a very practical man, Mr. K.L. Prasad, and he said, Rajiv, dekho, if you leave us with this power, it will just become a money-making business for the police. They will go and harass every lab person और पैसा लेंगे और चुप बैठेंगे. So don't go like that. He said, you bring specific complaints. If they do not take action, you talk to me. And so we submitted this case with him. And we waited for 7 days, 8 days, and nothing happened. And suddenly we got news that in that laboratory he is burning something, वो बंद कर रहा है and all that. So we knew that there was a leak somewhere. So the file must have been sent from the commissioner's office to the Khargar police station, and this person was taking money and trying to remove all the evidence. Immediately next day morning, we were at the commissioner's office and we said, sir, no action has been taken, nothing has happened on this case. Within 2 hours, we got a call from the IO, because immediately in front of me, he called up. He called up the station in charge and he said, do you want to get transferred or do you want to get suspended? You tell me, only 2 options. I need action in 24 hours. And then the fun started. Within 2 hours, आप उधर क्यों गए, हमारे पास आते, उधर क्यों नहीं गए, ये क्या किया, वो क्या किया. And then correctly, the shutters were down, and there is no news of this bogus person. Now we thought that ये सब अभी हमारा इतना मेहनत सब फालतू में गया. Then suddenly we get a phone call, सर एक ब्लैक कलर का गाड़ी आया है, उनके पास भी वैसा ही गाड़ी है और वो लैब के सामने खड़ा हो गया है. So immediately we rushed over there and कोई lady निकली है. And we rushed over there and then immediately after that we saw that there was a lady with a small child and she was sitting in the car. The police immediately asked her, who are you, what are you, what ye, wo. That lady almost in tears, I am just a patient, I have come to the hospital next door, my child is not well, ye, license kahan hai, ye kya, wo kahan, everything they are asking, but she has no answers. But to put a long story short, she was not, had anything to do with this. And again we gave up hope. But when we came back, I saw a light inside the laboratory, closed laboratory, but there was a light inside. And I showed the IO, under light chalu hai. So we knocked on the door and surprise or surprise, somebody came out. And he said, I work somewhere else, but I sleep over here, I pay a rent to this person. तो immediately उसको pick up किया और उसको पुलिस स्टेशन में रोक दिया. फोन बंद कर दिया, फोन हमारे जब्त में कर दिया और उसको पुलिस स्टेशन में रोक दिया. बाजू वाला एक फूल वाला था, फूल वाले के कान में डाल दिया, इसको पुलिस स्टेशन में ले जा रहे. इतना ही. And by that time we started searching more about this name. We had a name, this person, and we found out that we found YouTube videos of a news clip where this person was a technician in a medical college in Kolhapur, and he forged the labor minister's signature, took 1 lakh rupee from all the contract workers and said that I will get you made permanent. And the case was going on in Bombay. And we had the YouTube video and we had a photograph of this person. So this technician was shown this video and asked, is he the same person? And now the police had a face. And imagine to our surprise, till 11:30 we waited and we said, chalo yaar, kahin to khana kha ke ghar jate hain. We had not sat in the restaurant, 11:45 को हमको phone आता है, तुरंत आ जाओ वापस. That idiot had come to bring food for that technician who was caught by us. उसको पता नहीं था किस लिए पुलिस ने पकड़ा था. He thought वो technician के matter के लिए ही उसको पकड़ा गया है, इस मेरा कुछ लेन देन नहीं है. He strolled into the police station with food to give this person. So that's how again the same this thing started. Do you know me? Do you know ये वो ये. दो कान के नीचे बजाया, हथकड़ी लगाया, सब लाइन पे आ गया. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to be committed, you have to have proof, and then you need to convince the police. Third case, lab in New Bombay, doctor in Bijapur, teaching in a laboratory, in a medical college over there. And irony of irony, the lab puts urgent report, 50 rupees extra. So again, it was a simple shut case, open and shut case. We had to give time. I had to go with the police to Bijapur. We had to frame questions for the police. What to ask the dean over there, what to ask the medical superintendent, what is his salary, what is his attendance. The days we had the report, which was signed by him, we had to make sure that he was physically present over there. So that becomes somebody's force, find out who, all those kind of things. So for us, it is now a continuous process. We don't even think. I think almost our group has filed 10 to 12 FIRs continuous. Last month also we had filed 1 FIR. So this was how the police was educated, and it's not very clear over here, but it's regarding how Dr. Sandeep Yadav has spoken about all these. One of these techniques, the persons whose name was being used was already suspended by the Maharashtra Medical Council, and his name was being used by a laboratory over there. So somebody was going to get caught. We needed to find out whom. Then came the public.
Sir, sorry for interrupting. 5 minutes.
I will take 5 minutes. Okay. The next came the public, and public was relatively easy. Like I said, once it's in the press, people really pick it up. And we celebrated World Pathologist Day. It was last year, it was November 16th. This time it was in November. This year it was November 16th. Before it was November 11th. And we had awareness programs. We put ads in the paper. And then we started putting these kind of public awareness things. If you go to our Facebook site, you will find that all of these, we distribute pamphlets to all our pathologists, and they distribute it, they keep it on the counter, and the patients take it when they go. And we are there on social media. We we have this Facebook site. I invite all of you to go onto this site. You'll see a wealth of information that you can use, and it's all about educating the public. So do you know your pathologist? Who is a pathologist? All these kind of things are put up on this Facebook site. And because of all this thing, we start getting invited to consumer forums, where we started explaining what is an illegal laboratory, what is this thing. We are now interacting with the insurance industry, and very recently we had been called by an insurance meeting, a meeting of the top insurance companies in India, and we apprised them of the situation of how all these frauds take place in insurance and all those kind of. So that's how we are now picking up things from that side. Politicians, yeah, very tough nuts to crack. They are very sweet talkers, but will not listen to you. But the media, and they are influenced by corrupt bureaucrats, and we have a medical DMER who refuses to listen to reason. And then I already spoke to you about the vote bank politics. But what we did was we changed tack. We didn't say we are against illegal laboratories. We said what wrong has the rural population done, or has the other, the people, the technicians used to say there's nobody in the rural population to serve the public. And we asked only one question. We said, what wrong has the rural population done that they should not be given or allowed the services of genuine pathologists? So we we changed the tack, and we said there's a public health issue involved over here, wrong reports going out, wrong kind, and morbidity, coexistent morbidity, mortality was explained to the politicians. And then we activated certain politicians who understood the problem and then started taking it up in the assembly, forcing the government to act. Finally, our fellow practitioners, we had to coerce the IMA. Again, a very important thing. We really had to work on this one. The IMA was turning a blind eye to us, were not listening. And then finally, there was a big hue and cry about cross-pathy, allopathy with Ayurveda, not allowed to mark, and this and that. And there was a conference, a district or state district level conference of the IMA, and the state IMA president had come over there. And we pathologists started talking to them, and we asked him, why are you not taking our side on this? And there was one gentleman next to him. He said, how can we take your side? There is nobody in the villages and nobody in this thing. I said, 2 minutes, sir. I have 2 questions for you. In which village or which area is a pathologist not available? So there was somebody in the audience, and she said, I'm a gynecologist, and to this place there was no pathologist. Immediately from that area, one more person said, please madam, don't be, I will tell you the story. Pathologist came, pathologist opened shop, pathologist started practice, but none of you sent samples to them because all of you had these illegal side labs, so pathology had to shut shop and go back. Is that true or not? So pathology is available, but you are not taking his services. Immediately they had to shut shop. The other thing I said is, if you are saying that cross-pathy will not do that, no Ayurved person should be doing this thing, why are you taking the services of a technician? If you are not going to listen to us, we will come out on the open and say, chalo, homeopath ko bhi chodo, isko bhi chodo, sabko chodo. We will put it in paper. That night, the IMA president called us and said, tell me what to do, we will do it for you. Letter was ready, drafted by us, and that letter was put up in was sent to each and every IMA branch. It was put in their magazine, and we influenced both IMA and MMC to this thing. The media put it that the IMA, the Indian Medical Association, is telling, don't refer patients to labs which don't have pathologists. The IMA is telling the doctors. So a huge win for us. We started becoming active on WhatsApp groups. Clinician WhatsApp groups started discussing cases, put interesting cases, put our point of view forward, and try to influence them. Our pathologists started encouraging with the clinicians, started saying no to this deputy system, started saying no to the cut system, and telling them why. And then we started being invited to conferences like these. So myself, Jagdish, Sandeep, we go to different places and all these IMA conferences and clinician conferences, and we talk and we tell them medico-legally how much of a soup they are in if they do not take the pathologist's advice. And that usually works for them. And of course, my fellow postgraduates, we have convinced many HODs. They give us an opportunity, they give us an hour, 1.5 hours, it becomes like a PG lecture for them. And then we talk to them, we convince them, we tell them the law, and we tell them what they need to come out and counsel them on how they should practice once they are done. So doing all this, what is the result? So like I said, 4 pathologists suspended by the medical council, 3 of them for 6 months. One of them, time is short, otherwise I'll tell you very interesting story with each of these pathologists. The way, I mean, I fought the case as from the legal point of view in the council. They had employed big lawyers and everything, and then how we finished them off is a very interesting story that I have for some other day perhaps. And then we started, we had filed cases, like I said, and it takes time. This was filed in 2013, 2016. If you see the date over here, it is 6th of October 2016. And this was an MBBS doctor who had set up a lab in our hospital, side lab run by a technician, and we had filed a complaint over there. Convicted, the MBBS doctor also was found guilty. The court was very clear in saying that it's not very clear over here, but the court said that she is an MBBS, but she is not a specialist of pathology. She has no business opening the lab, running the lab, or signing out reports. Similarly, technician has to have a pathology supervising, and so both were found guilty of criminal negligence and they are in jail. Okay, not only medical or consumer this thing. And now there is a huge awareness, great awareness in the general population also. I have n number of pathologists come and tell me, आपको पता है डॉक्टर साहब, राजीव, today one patient came and asked me, इधर pathologist कौन है, क्या timing है उसका, बैठता है क्या, क्या करता है. That is a huge win for us because that means public is now aware, and that makes a lot of difference. We could get to such a pressure point where the police commissioner in Aurangabad, he suo moto, without us taking anything, he summoned all the laboratories, gave them an ultimatum. He's asked the health officer of Aurangabad Municipal Corporation to actually go there and find out which are the illegal laboratories, and he has started shutting them down. Now politicians understand what we speak, they are more receptive, and they have started openly supporting our stand. And of course, pathologists see that something is happening, they are there in the news. In fact, we are the people, as pathologist organizers, we are the people who are most in the news for doing these kind of things. We now, the dermat people come to us. How do we take care of the illegalities in our practice? The ophthal people come to us. How do we take care of these? The radiologists come to us. How do we stop what is happening in our this thing? So that is this. Finally, things came to such a boil that the government actually published a government resolution which made it clear that it is illegal for a DMLT to practice independently. He has to have a pathologist, and the pathologist has to have a contract, and he should be there over there. There were other factors later on. Unfortunately, that GR got withdrawn in 2 days. But for us, it was a huge victory that we could get the government stand in black and white. Now the government has appointed a review committee who will look at it and will see it. And we know what the questions the review committee has been given, because the pathologists are there on that committee and they are all friendly to us. And we are using RTI to keep the answers ready. We know what the questions are, we know what the answers are, and we are going to use government data to take care of these questions. So we are asking the questions, how many labs are there in every municipal city? They are saying rural population, nothing is there. There are nobody to service. Why are you allowing these technicians to open their labs in urban areas? Simple question. So we have now approached different corporations, we've asked them questions, and we are getting the answers for that, and we are collating data. By ourselves, we have more than 2,000 RTI applications, and we are using this data against the government itself. But the road forward, it is a long journey yet. We've traveled along this thing, and we think this road is a little better than what it was before, not so bumpy. Still, we expect a little bit more from our pathologists, but at least they are not criticizing us openly. Previously, it was a very negative thing where kuch nahi hoga, salo saal se kuch nahi hoga, tum kya ukhadoge, but at least now there is a hope. They are at least keeping quiet, there is no negative publicity. And they're not looking at the long-term benefits that can happen. We are also, like Borges madam said, actively looking at a concept of corporate labs. Very difficult, very, very difficult to get all pathologists standing in one line. Very difficult. And we're also looking at how can we have accreditation to separate us from the illegal laboratories. And this accreditation should not be something imposed on us like NABL has, which is again a huge farce if you ask me, the way they take us for granted. We are looking at trying to form a committee which will create an accreditation process which is of us, by us, and for us, so that it understands our problems It reviews our problems and can give a stamp of authority similar to what the College of American Pathologists is doing for us today. So, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an endearing journey. Sometimes we feel we are alone, but we still march ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such an eye-opening talk. And I'm sure, as you say, it gives a ray of hope to all the inundated pathologists who had started believing that this branch of science is at the altar of graveyard.
I just wish we get 5 committed pathologists standing here and saying we'll do the same thing over here. It's something like the Khalsa.
Anybody?
And
5.
You know, and it has to be people who are established in practice. Don't expect budding pathologist who is every day 10 sample hai ki 11 sample hai. They will help you. But it has the people who are 100 samples per day who has to come forward and take it.
Fight for the cause.
Yep. It doesn't have to happen today. You
Yeah,
can sit
yeah.
later and do it. That's
So you can give your names at a later date. And I know it's a very hot and burning issue, but we'll take only one question because of lack of time. The remaining questions you can talk at the time of high tea. One question. Manoj, and please keep your questions short. Yeah. Mike.
No, I'll tell you the question. I'll tell you. He's saying you have never filed a complaint against physician who is sending the pathologist. And no, we have filed a complaint, sir. We have filed a complaint to the Maharashtra Medical Council. This was in Baramati. There was a pediatrician who was openly sending to the president of the Technicians Association. So this was for us our most high profile case. And we immediately filed a complaint against him. And the reason we had to file that complaint also was because he gave an affidavit saying that he's happy with the services of this technician, which was submitted in the High Court by these technicians. And the Maharashtra Medical Council took cognizance of our complaint, they accepted it, and they called him and they have warned him. Now it is very difficult, sir, because they are a body of clinicians. Ultimately it is very difficult, but we have to start. It is not that we are not filing complaints, we are. हो गया ना सर, वो MBBS वाला physician है, वैसे ही चालू है, केस चालू है. I cannot talk about all cases because they are sub judice. Those cases where there is this thing has come out, we can discuss openly.
Sir,
Last question.
okay, madam. Sir, what about our case in Supreme Court? As we know, the Supreme Court delay our case. Why we no change the lawyer? We have enough funding. Even APPI or most of our
Sir,
national body is supporting us.
I understand where you're going. Again, the law today is more than enough for us to do whatever we want to do. Supreme Court decision is not necessary. Like I said, tomorrow what the Supreme Court decision will come, we don't know. Whatever the court takes, we have to listen. Instead of that, the law is already there. You have won it in your High Court, I have won it in my High Court. The police complaint is there, Maharashtra Medical Practice Act is there, Gujarat Medical Practice Act is there. If they are misusing the law, it is our duty, our commitment. The Supreme, sir, law क्या है? Judge ने court, you have won the case in your High Court, I have won it. क्या फर्क पड़ा है? क्या बंद हुआ है? कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ना है. जो law है, उसको use करो.
But sir, we face our politicians. They always say there is a case pending in Supreme Court. Even MCI or we file complaint in GMC, always says case pending in Supreme Court.
That's what I said, sir. You are at the step where we were in 2008, 2009. You have to go the other way. That's why I'm talking today in this thing, that filing complaints per se, everybody puts the victim this thing forward. It has to be the other way. All of us have or are taking samples of somebody of influence in the government. We may know some minister here, minister there, this thing. It is time to start using those contacts for the good of the community. That is the